There's a bird that lives in all of our gardens in the UK. We see it every single year on our Christmas card. And that is only one bird that has the perfect sound in our winter mornings. And this bird actually turned up in Montreal, Canada. It has never been recorded there before. So it has physically made history. And the woman that found was taking her bins out. I am Jamie, and this is Nature's Raw Pursuit. My guests today are Sabrina Jacob, the woman from Montreal who made the discovery, and Dr. Stephen Moss, one of Britain's leading naturalists and the author of the biography of the robin. Welcome to you both, and thank you for being here.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well.
Hi,
How are
Sabrina.
you?
Yeah, all good.
Nice to meet you, Stephen.
And you, Sabrina. Well done for finding the robin.
Thank you very much.
It is a very fascinating story for what we've been told so far. So, Stephen, thank you honestly for joining us today. It's such a pleasure. We've just been talking to Sabrina about January the 7th and finding this robin and what it means to Canada. Stephen, could you tell us how rare this is? And so obviously it's historical, but we've tried to put robins into these countries before, if I'm correct, to actually habitat them to Canada in some way, but it failed so many times. But this one robin...
That's right. I mean, robins are a very common bird in Europe and extremely common in Britain and very familiar. They are officially Britain's national bird, following a poll by my friend David Lindo a few years ago. And they're not really a great wanderer. They don't migrate an awful lot. They're fairly short-winged. One did turn up in Beijing a few years ago, so that's quite unusual. But huge crowds of people came to see it. But generally, they're not a bird known for vagrancy as some birds are. So, yeah, Sabrina finding this in Montreal was extraordinary.
Sabrina, can you tell us what happened when they come? So they come out to you to check this bird wasn't AI, to make sure it could go onto the eBird app. Is that correct?
Yeah, they did came to see it was not AI. On the 8th of January. Yeah, when they officialized that it was good because they saw it too. Well, yeah, it was confirmed that it was not AI. And with the video, you saw exactly the details of my window, of my tree. Everything was too perfect to be AI. Yeah.
So the robin in the UK, I love the robin, but I don't think I quite understand it as much as you, Stephen. So what does the robin mean to us in the UK? It's been nominated the British favourite bird multiple times throughout the years now, hasn't it? But somehow it seems to still not be stamped permanently across board in some sense.
Yeah, it's I suppose I don't like that word iconic, but that's what it is. He's the British bird. More than, and what's odd about robins is on the continent in Europe, they're a fairly shy woodland bird that people know and they're familiar with, but they do not have any of the same cultural and historical and social meaning. And the reason for this is quite complicated. It's because robins, there's a number of reasons. The first reason is robins are really cute. They're really beautiful. And they have a large head and they're plump and they're fluffy and they fluff their feathers out and they've got a very large eye. Now, all those are for good biological reasons because robins hunt in forests at dawn and dusk. They used to follow wild boars around. They still do in Europe. And wild boars churn up the soil and a robin will go in and pick out the worms and the beetles and little invertebrates that it finds. So the reason robins look are so appealing is that they do look cute to us. They look sort of almost like a baby bird. Also, they've got that lovely, I was going to say red breast. It's not, it's orange. I can come to that later. Ask me about that later. Actually, a robin is a nickname. My nan used to talk about Jenny Wren and Tom Tit and Robin Redbreast. So they were given little familiar names. And the robin one stuck. The official name right into the 20th century for the robin was Redbreast. And yet robin has stuck. So it's a bit like if you saw a wren and you said, "Oh, hello, there's a Jenny this morning," So it's really weird. The other thing about robins, which I love, is that I've been in Australia for the last few weeks, and yesterday I saw a scarlet robin, and the other day I saw a western yellow robin, and I saw a hooded robin. None of these are robins. They're all cute little birds with colourful breasts that are perky like a robin. And so when people from Britain and Europe went to Australia, they saw these birds and said, "Oh, they're robins." And they're not. They're a completely different family, the Australasian robins. Likewise, as Sabrina will know, in North America, you have a massive orange and grey thrush called the American robin. And it's not a
Yes, we was
robin, it's a
talking about
thrush.
this.
Yeah. So, it's weird that we love them so, but we do.
We was talking on the American robin a little bit earlier on, and we were trying to establish the difference between the two. Now we know there's a slight difference in colour in terms of the breast coming all the way down, rather than to about a certain point. The song that the robin sings in Britain that we all know famously, we wake up every morning, listen to it. It's what we look for when we're in the countryside or in our back gardens. What's the difference to American robin singing? Is it the same style, like claiming a territory, trying to get a mate coming in?
Yeah. Most birdsong is that, although interestingly, it has just been discovered that female birds, well, not just been discovered, but female birds sing a lot more than we think. But generally, it's the male bird singing. And the difference is the American robin isn't a robin, it's a thrush. It has a orangey breast. And so again, the pilgrims who arrived from Britain in America in the 17th century saw this bird and thought, "Oh, that's a robin." Oddly, the European robin, as it's officially known, used to be in the thrush family, along with nightingales and stonechats and wheatears. It's not now, it's a flycatcher. It's been shifted, all of them have been shifted into flycatchers. So they're not even vaguely related to the American robin, which is about twice the size. Doesn't have quite as nice a song, I don't think, but is again a very common and popular bird.
He's the one who wakes us up too, so that's similar.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So in the UK, if I'm correct, we've got around about 7 million breeding territories in the UK.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
around
somewhere
right
between
estimate?
5 and 7 million. Yeah, and it's Britain's second commonest bird after the wren. The wren is the commonest bird by far. No one ever believes me when I say that. I mean, I wrote a biography of the robin, and then when that was very successful, I wrote one on the wren. And people said, "Why are you writing about the wren?" I said, "Because it's Britain's commonest bird." I've never seen one. Well, they hide and they're quite hard to see. But robins are very, very common and very widespread around lowland Britain, particularly, and in gardens, of course.
So the robin, in terms of turning up in Canada, we know there's a life expectancy here roughly in the UK. And I know I believe if I'm correct, it's your auntie that doesn't like this statement, that it only lives for 2 years.
Yeah, my lovely, now late Auntie Sally said to me when I told her I was writing a book on the robin, this is about 8 years ago, she said, "Oh, the same robin's been coming to my garden for the last, since we moved here." And I said, "But you moved here 60 years ago. It might be the descendant of the original robin." But it was lovely that she thought that, and it's because she used to put out mealworms for them, and they'd come. So she assumed it was the same one, and bless her, she refused to believe me. But no, sadly, robins, they're like James Dean. They live frantically and fast and die young. Most small birds die before they're one. And the ones that survive to the next breeding season, usually with robins, will breed for 1 or maybe 2 years, sometimes longer. They have lived much longer, but generally, the robin you see in your garden from year to year is likely to be a descendant of the previous one.
So we have quite a few. I have quite a few robins. I'd like to think they're different robins. I know I've definitely seen 2 come together, which are mating in the garden, I'm assuming, somewhere. Is that due to natural causes, or is that due to them being typical hitmen of the back gardens and trying to take each other out every time they see each other?
No, they are quite violent birds. If we're being a bit anthropomorphic here and saying that, comparing them to people, but they're quite feisty birds. They're very territorial, European robins, and they defend their territory all year round, which is quite unusual. A lot of birds don't do that. Birds like blue tits are happily come together on the feeder, through the winter, and then they'll defend a territory in the spring and summer. But robins are quite aggressive to other robins. They actually as I say in the book, they very rarely kill each other. It's very unusual. It has been known. But yeah, the reason you tend to only ever see one or two robins in the garden, and what you're seeing is a male and a male, or a male and female.
Yeah.
They're not aggressive to their mate, but they're aggressive to other robins. You also, not quite yet, but by about June, maybe earlier sometimes, you start seeing a little sort of fluffy bird that looks a bit like a robin in shape, but doesn't have a red breast and is a bit speckly. And that, of course, is a baby robin. And we get those out, they come out and they hop around the lawn. And they're pretty recognizable as robins. Some people are confused because they don't have the red breast, but of course they're young ones.
It's my favourite bird. I'd followed it, and my nan made me be really good on the robin. Now, I'll take you on a bit of somewhat of what the robin means to us in Britain. So there's a little story, and my nan used to tell me growing up that if I saw a robin, that robin was reporting back to her to tell her whether I was being good. And every time I'd go to my nan's house, there was a robin in her back garden. Now, she would say this over and over, and my granddad would follow along with the same sequence as I was growing up. So whenever I saw a robin, I was good. I was so good. And I still am to this day. Like, I'm like, hello, Mr. Robin, how are you doing? Like, and stuff like that. And I even spoke to them today. I said, Nan, Granddad, I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Stephen Moss on the podcast this week. And I'm going to have to tell him the story that how you made me be good because of a robin. That I actually believed that this bird was reporting back to him because they was seen everywhere. And that story is so personal to me. And that's what left me with a connection. And that's thanks to my nan and granddad love for the robin. And it seems to be a generational thing. It can be passed down very quickly because it attaches stories and holds meanings. And what is your thought of it being, what does that bird mean to Britain in terms if we were to explain it to,
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And I love that fact, please send my best to your nan and granddad, because that's just such a lovely story.
It's so smart.
Yeah, it's great. What often happens also is that when someone loses a loved one, they see a robin. Robins are perky. They look at you. They sort of, it's because they want food, basically. They want you to dig up the garden and produce some worms. And so what happens is that we associate a loved one with a robin, obviously when they're alive, but also when they're not. And I think that's really powerful. And people say to me, I'm not a scientist. I'm a cultural writer. I don't, I love the science about robins, and there's a lot of science in this book, but there's also an awful lot about what I call the other robin, which is exactly what you've just described. It's the cultural robin. It's the robin in stories like Babes in the Wood or Who Killed Cock Robin. It's the robin who we put on Christmas cards. And the reason we do that is that robins feed on the ground. And you're too young to remember, both of you, but when I was, well, not in Montreal, but when I was young, it snowed a lot in winter. And when it snowed, robins, which feed on the ground, can't find food. So they'd come to our back doors and sort of fluff up their feathers and look cute. And my nan would feed them. My nan brought me up, and she would put out some scraps of food for the robin because she felt sorry for it. And that's how it got associated with Christmas, because this would happen in December. That's when the first snows used to come. So I think, this cultural side of the robin is incredibly important. And all the biographies I've written of Robin, the wren, the swallow, the swan, the owl, the starling, and now the puffin, doing that at the moment, are all based on this fact that we have a cultural and personal relationship with the birds. And people can say, well, that's nonsense. They don't go back and tell your nan things. But it doesn't matter, does it? If it's true to you, it matters. And I think that is a really important aspect of our love of robins.
I agree. I 100% agree. So in terms of the robin in Canada right now, I'm going to get Tom to pull up a photo to show you of a robin eating snow. Now, I'm assuming when you found this robin, it was heavy winter, heavy snow. By the photos I've seen, I'm trying to work out what this robin is doing and how it's behaving in Canada, because surely there's a big difference in climate changes compared to here in the UK now. When it's eating snow, is that getting water, food from underneath it? I think this is the photo coming up now.
I think it was for water, personally, because I tried to give him fresh water. I really tried, but he was stubborn and he continued to get snow. So yeah, and he was really doing that a lot. But he just got food from the where I was feeding him. So he did that
Okay.
usually after.
Okay, so maybe he's trying to, I might be wrong here, trying to soften the food with the snow. Because I know sometimes I hear, like, if we put mealworm out, sometimes they take it to water and then they soak it a little bit if it's a bit harder to digest, maybe. Could that be a possibility of why he's going to the snow, or is it just for water drinking purposes afterwards?
I think it's probably just for water, actually, yeah, because, the snow will melt very quickly. But yeah, what a lovely photo. That's great, and
Thank you.
how cold does it get in Montreal in winter then, Sabrina?
Actually, this winter was really intense, and that robin survived the -40 temperature.
Oh my goodness me.
Like -39 that we had. Oh yeah, and in the morning he was waiting for me for his food. He was like looking at me like, feed me now. But yeah, he really survived a lot of cold weather, like -30, -35, -38, and usually in the medium temperature was like -25 sometimes. He really survived quite a weather this year.
There's a lot of controversy about feeding garden birds at the moment, but actually during the winter months, that's what saves them, and that's how that robin survived, because you were feeding it. Oh, what a great photo. Beautiful. You see the feathering there. Can I pick up something about the colour? What colour is that breast? What colour is it? It's not red, is it? It's orange.
No, it's orange. It's clearly orange.
But do you know why the robin was called redbreast? And before that, it was called ruddock, which means little red bird in Anglo-Saxon. It's because the colour orange didn't exist. Sorry, that's not true. The name for the colour orange didn't exist until oranges came into Britain in the 16th century. So the name redbreast is much older than that, and orange was just a shade of red. Rather
That's really interesting.
If it had a light green breast, you would say green. We don't have a word for light green, really,
That's
but
interesting.
orange came in because of oranges, of course, So it should really be Oliver Orange Breast, I think.
And you are so right, and that's really an interesting fact. It's really cool. But that picture, I really remember he was waiting for me to put his food. It was like, you're being really long right now. Stop taking pictures and feed me. That was really how I perceived it. And I don't know if you're seeing the little snowflake on his beak, but that's the thing I loved about my pictures a lot, is that when he was drinking water and everything, or one picture I sent to you too, he had like a snow mohawk. Like it's so cute with snow. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the feathering there, can't you, as well? You can see the beautiful delicacy of that.
Yeah.
So Tom's going to show you some more kind of as we're talking along. So if you want to just stop at any point, just let us know. He's going to pull a couple up. There's a video as well of the robin in a wheel arch. I mean, you've got some seriously good composition photos and videos of this bird that I look at them and go, I'd actually hang that on my wall the way you've captured that. Like you had a very good eye for detail and the way you've captured the story of this robin. I mean, I love the detail in it as well. Did he get fatter over time? Like, did he get bigger over time? Like with you guys feeding him?
I didn't realize that. It was really just like Stefan said before. It was really like bigging up his feathers, like getting big. But when he was doing like a sharp, it was really small. Like he could be really small without the feather being bigger. The feathers. So yeah, no, I didn't see a remarkable difference. Like yeah.
So it's -40 degrees.
He lived through that.
Slightly weirdly, -40 is the same in Fahrenheit and Celsius.
No, Celsius.
But it's very, very cold. That is really
cold. It's cold. It's really cold. I had my winter coat, pants over pants over pants, my big boots, my hat, and I was freezing.
I love that hat, by the way.
It was really cold.
Do you want to bring up the photo of Sabrina that she sent us? We've got a photo of you with your hat, I believe. But
that's why I put the hat, because everybody recognized me with the purple hat. People
that was your,
were seeing me. Yeah, They were seeing me and they were like, "Oh, you're the nice girl at the purple hat. You're the
Did
one who found him."
did you become a bit of a celebrity, Sabrina? Sounds like you
I
did.
did.
How
I
lo-
did. It was really special. It made me completely crazy stuff I didn't think I would pass on TV. I never thought I do that for fun, you know, for my passion. So I never thought I would live all of that. It's fascinating. Yeah, so we installed a birdhouse so he could maybe go reheat, like to have eat for him. But I never saw him go, so I don't think he went. But yeah, we installed it. Yeah,
No, I
my
think the key thing about birds in winter is if they have food, they can survive. I mean, you have hummingbirds overwintering in Toronto, in Canada, where it's very cold, because people put out sugar syrup for them. So,
yeah,
we're changing the way birds behave,
good
but
point.
if we didn't feed them, these birds would die pretty quickly, actually. So it's interesting that I'm amazed it survived those temperatures, though. But that's great news.
I was
That
going to
was going to
feed
be
him
my question.
twice a day,
Twice a day. I suppose. I mean,
because I knew the other birds would eat it all, so I went twice a day to feed him, and he knew the hours I was going to feed him. He got used to it. Sometimes he was waiting for me. Like the pictures you see when he's really close, I am not the one who's going close to him. He was coming to me. He was really coming to me, like a little bit Stephen, when you said he was coming to get some food. Like I was feeling that, like he was really coming to me and was like, "Where's my food?" Moving his head like that. So
That's right. They
it
cock their
was.
head to one side, yeah. And
It's so
people in
cute.
Britain, we're very into gardening in Britain, and because there were no wild boars in Britain, there are now, but there are not very many, for hundreds of years. That's why robins started moving into towns and villages and cities and going into gardens, particularly when gardeners start digging things up. So people always say to me, "Oh, my robin's coming down because I'm digging up my garden." My goodness me, that's great. Did it sing during the winter?
He sang for me just once
Oh,
when I found him. That's it. Yeah,
and you,
but
oh, right. So that's how you found him, wasn't it? You heard a strange song that you didn't know.
exactly.
You must
Yeah,
have been amazed when you found him. I mean, it's just incredible.
amazed. I was in shock the next day when I found out it was a European robin. I was really
Yeah,
shocked.
yeah,
And that day, the picture I remember, it was all wet. It was so cute. Look at
yeah.
his feathers. You see, it was
See?
all wet. Yeah.
And when
And
did you last
now
see him?
it was actually the April 3rd.
April the 3rd. So
Yeah, that was the
that
last
was the
time.
last time you
Interesting.
saw him.
I wonder, as spring comes, and presumably it was warmer by then, I wonder if he has moved into someone's garden.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, and I hope so. I hope he found something. But yeah, since the weather got, and I was seeing insects. I was seeing insects. So I was like,
Yes.
oh, he's gonna leave soon. I'm not gonna see him at the feeder, and I didn't. So yeah, since the April 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, he stayed the
What
7th of January till the April 3rd. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with him, twice a day, and sometimes even more, because when people came, I went to see them with him to show him his spots where. And oh, no, wait, I know where he is right now. He's over there. So yeah, I was helping people. So I saw him sometimes 3-4 times a day. Yeah, it was really fun.
It's pretty miracle that this bird turned up in so far away from home. Like, it's mind blowing. They've come up with two theories of how this bird got there, and that is either firestorm or ship assisted. What would your thoughts be in terms of, or what's both of your thoughts in terms of how it got there? What do you reckon? Would it be more likely it landed via ship or it got swept off by a storm? Would it have even survived crossing the Atlantic at that being that small?
Yeah, I think given that robins are not very migratory, I mean, robins do. We get robins in autumn that are flown across the North Sea from Scandinavia. So you see them, they're slightly orangier, and you see them on the East Coast, and they're often quite shy. They don't behave like robins, and they're not in gardens. You see them on the coast or on islands. And they also, some of our female robins cross over to France, to the continent, in which they can fly across the sea, but it's an awfully long way to Montreal from Europe. And the winds tend to be prevailing in the opposite direction. They tend to be westerly. So we get some of the North American wood warblers, which are even smaller than robins, things like blackpoll warbler and yellow rump warbler and things. They will turn up in autumn. In fact, Canada warbler turned up a couple of years ago in autumn, but that's when you've had a hurricane and birds have migrated out into the ocean, as they do from Canada, to go to South America or Central America, and they get swept in, and most of them die. Most of them will drown. Or fall exhausted, but some get through. It's pretty unusual for birds to go the other way. They do. You get birds at Cape May in New Jersey. You get European birds there sometimes, and in eastern Canada and eastern USA. But I suspect, given that Montreal's a large port, that it would have probably been on a ship. And if it was on a ship where there were sailors or crewmen and women, it's quite likely they would have fed it. So it's possible that's possible. There's nothing wrong with that, if it's hitched a lift, good for it. It may well have been blown out, or it may have, I don't know, it's hard to tell. What are people saying in Canada, Sabrina? What's the view there?
Well, in Canada, it's really like the two thoughts that it was ship assisted, or really he did all the tour by the Groenland and flew all the way. I honestly have a feeling that is a mix of maybe climatic changes, like a storm or something, that made him lost his way, and he find a ship because he was tired, so he land on it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I really think it's a mix of both, because just only stop on a boat to how the bird would have land for fun and not get out.
Yeah.
I don't see the possibility of only one of those boats. I really think it's a mix of them, but whatever. I'm really happy. But
no, I'm sure you're right there.
I would probably put my money it being on a boat, considering there's a port nearby.
But that's what I like. It's the mystery of it. That's why I was calling him James Bond. I called him James or Jamie because I don't know if it was a male or a female, but Bond, because he was cute, and all the movies Bonds are cute, and he was mysterious. And my phone number finished by 007, so it was fitting all the way.
Fantastic! It was meant to be.
This is all meant to
be.
And he's got a license to kill. Yeah.
Here you go. That you said it, Stefan. That's it.
Maybe he'll be the new James Bond. They're still speculating.
Golden Robin. So when you posted this bird so Sabrina posted the bird on eBird, and this is kind of where it all went a bit crazy for Sabrina when somebody realized they come out, they found it. How many days did it take, Sabrina, for people to swarm on your street? I say this. Have you seen the news article, Stephen, on YouTube?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Would you like to see it before we kind of get the answer? It's a bit. When I saw it, I thought it was a little bit like, whoa, I've never seen this before. But it's very big for these guys, and this is where it kind of got me being intrigued. So let's have a look at the news report. So this is the actual news report. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
January 7th, Sabrina Jacob was putting out her garbage when she saw a rare bird.
I watch birds, so I was like, I don't know this sound. So I just look up and I was like, well, I don't know this bird either. He came straight up in front of me for 2 seconds. I took the video.
As her video shows, it's a hardy little bird who usually lives in Europe, even as far north as Scandinavia.
I saw him every day since. I have beautiful pictures, yeah.
When she shared her videos of the bird, people started flocking for a glimpse of this European robin on this side of the Atlantic.
It's nice to see the bird. We love the bird, but it's not like a chase for us. It's more like spending time with the bird.
Fruit trees and green space in the area east of Dixon mean Laurie Bellardine and other photographers have been able to take pictures every day, but it's a waiting game.
Waiting, and we'll hope to see if he shows up or not.
It just comes out like for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. So if you're not there at the right time, then you miss it.
How did this robin come here? Bird behaviorist Joël Coutu wonders if proximity to the port isn't a coincidence.
So it's possible that he hitched a ride and crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Other possibilities is the weather conditions as well. Lately in Europe, we've had these cold fronts, and Paris has had snow, and so it's possible these northern winds sort of pushed him here. I doubt he was carried in a luggage in a plane and released here, and it's possible he's been here for a while. So he could have been here for weeks or months, and maybe he did come during migration in the fall.
Some birders said they never thought they would see a European robin.
C'est comme prendre 5 cafés en même temps.
It's like having 5 coffees all at once, says this birder, and he's in good company here.
It wasn't even on the list. It wasn't within within the realm of a possibility.
If you're looking for something that you might never see again.
During dark January days, Jacob's discovery has brought a lot of joy to this neighborhood.
Love, he makes it through the winter and he stays with us with the spring. I would love to.
That is a great report. That really sums it up, doesn't it? I mean, I think, you know, that's really lovely. It's interesting that birding is all about context. So a bird is rare depending where it is. So, you know, a common bird can be rare. So we have the same thing where we had an American robin in Eastbourne, actually, a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and people went from all over the country to see it. It's not as rare. They do come over. There've been probably 50, 60 records, something like that over the years. But it's a bird that hadn't turned up for a while, and young birders wanted to see it. And lots of people I know travelled to see it. And you know, this happens. So it's all about context. A bird that is incredibly common in one place, if it's not found in the other, you will get crowds of people.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I saw is how amazing the bird community is. It's amazing. We're all over the world, all over the place. It was really great seeing that, all the community like in the same place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and twitching, as it's called, you know, going to chase a rare bird, it is a really social thing. And I know people who do it. I used to do it a bit, but, you know, if a rare bird turns up in Somerset, where I live in England, you know, I'll go down and I'll see old friends, and people might turn up from all over the country, and you get chatting to them. Then sometimes what happens is if they're in a big crowd somewhere, they'll find another rare bird in the same area because you've got so many eyes looking for it. But yeah,
that's it.
I had an odd experience a few years ago when I was writing the book on the robin. I heard about a robin in Devon that was a robin, a European robin, same species, but it lacked 2 of the important pigments. And it therefore was a sort of bluey grey colour with a creamy white breast. And I went to look for it. And it was a beautiful day in, I think, early April. So robins were singing, and it was down a track where lots of families were walking. It was a weekend. And I found about a dozen robins down there. And I finally found the one I was looking for. And if I'd just seen it, I would have thought it was some rare Asian flycatcher, because it just, I mean, when you look closely, and then of course it sang, so it was a robin, but it looked so weird because there was no brown or orange in its plumage at all. It was sort of a rather attractive sort of bluey grey colour, and then the cream. So that's the only robin I've ever gone to Twitch, you know, and found. But it was similar. And there were people saying to me, why are you here? And I was showing them it. And they were like, wow, that's a great bird.
Going back to that American robin that you mentioned earlier on, so I never went to the location of that robin at that time. But it's funny you mentioned that, because that's actually, I back onto the South Downs. So I'm quite lucky to walk out my house onto South Downs. But about 4 streets over is where that American robin actually landed. And it was sat on the South Downs, just in the trees. And I was out looking for an owl not too long ago, just after Christmas. And some lady comes past, she goes, what are you sat in a bush like looking for? Because I'm like hiding away, trying to make sure I'm not seen. She goes, have you found another rare bird? And I'm like, not that I'm aware of. And I was like, why is that? And she goes, well, I've had enough of you photographers sitting around my house. I'm just looking for an owl. That's all I'm doing. I said, I'm not bringing a load of people here.
Yeah, you get that because they often do, but rare birds will turn up in people's gardens. It's interesting that ornithologist quite rightly said it's quite likely that the robin was migrating in the autumn. So it could be, for example, it could have come from Scandinavia. It could have been crossing the North Sea,
That's it.
gets in a storm, ends up on a boat that goes across, because as Sabrina said, it wouldn't just hop on a boat in a port in Britain. It wouldn't come out of a garden and do that. It must have been traveling. So I think it did. And it may well have turned up a few hundred yards away from where you then saw it and then gradually moved over to where you found it. So it may have been it was somewhere where there were no people or no one clever enough to realize it was unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. The very first American warbler in Britain was found in a garden in Devon in the 1950s, and it was on a bird table in February. Well, it wouldn't have flown over in February. It would definitely have flown over in October.
That's it.
So, yeah.
That's it's so interesting, and
so mysterious. Yeah.
There's a photo. I believe it's you and your partner standing, and you're making something. Now, I didn't know whether you was making bird food or human food. So can you let me know whether would you feeding people?
I will specify. It's because on the first Saturday that all happened, it was the first weekend that the observation was confirmed on the Friday. So in the Saturday, it was really, really cold. It was really cold, and people were like 150 people in front of my house and all the street, and it was really, really cold, and the robin wasn't there. I was like, please come out. It's really cold for the people. Stop making them wait. So me and my boyfriend said, well, we're going to go make coffee and hot chocolate for the people. So we went, we did coffee, hot chocolate, and we put food out for the humans.
How lovely. Can I ask, did anyone come from the United States to see it, Sabrina?
Yes, Stephen. I had some people from California, Manitoba, New York, Buffalo, Minnesota, Manitoba, everywhere. I had so many great people that I talked to. It was amazing.
Lovely.
A lot of people from the United States.
Because Americans, whether they're Canadian or from USA, keep it's called the ABA list, the American Birding Association, and it covers both countries. So unlike certain US presidents, they do genuinely believe that you should, birds cross borders. They don't know about borders. So the birders will go to Canada because they can count that on their North American list, which is nice. So that's quite
It was really nice. It was really nice. I met a lot of people from the United States. It was really nice. Yeah. Pennsylvania, a lot of people from Pennsylvania. Yeah. But yeah, that was for the humans, the food and the drinks. That was for the humans. We did it the first 2 Saturdays because the first Saturday we had close to 200 people on the street, and the next Saturday we had maybe 7 on the street. So we did it the 2 Saturdays for the people. It was fun.
So you did send me some photos, which I'm going to show Stephen now. Like when I saw these, I was like, I couldn't imagine walking outside my house to this.
Okay, so in this picture, you can see where the photograph points. We see the shape of the bird. There's like a tiny little thing in the tree was there. Next,
really?
Next to the parking spot. The no parking spot. If you get upper, the first white thing there, in the left, we see a little tiny round thing there in the tree. Yeah, so he's there. He was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, at the left. Yeah, left. Keep going. Okay, there. This little.
Him. Yeah. Wow. So did everyone see it in the end, or did people have to come back time and again?
A lot of people in that day saw it there. He came out just once that day.
Wow.
A lot of people. Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And people were so generous. People were really giving me some money to feed him. People were so really nice and really generous. It was really, really fun. And I talked to a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's a great community. It's the
It
international
was.
birding community. We have an
It
event in
was.
the UK every year called Global Bird Fair, and people come from literally all over the world.
Well,
You know,
maybe I'm gonna come once.
you must come. It's in July.
You
It's
must.
wonderful. Africa,
Okay.
Asia,
I will go.
North America,
I
South.
didn't know.
Yeah, it's a look
I
it up.
didn't know about it, so thank you.
Global Bird Fair, and anyone watching in Britain, you should come as well. It's a 3-day event. It's absolutely brilliant. I've been going every year for 30-something years now, and
Wow.
love it. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna check into that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so it was
Jamie,
really nice.
Sabrina, if you can get Jamie to pass on your email details to me afterwards, because it'd be good to stay in touch with you. And thank you for
Of course.
Thank you for
That would
finding
be
it.
my pleasure too.
Story. Great story.
He's the one who did that. It's amazing what he did. It's amazing. I had so much fun with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bring great joy, and I think that's the whole point of this conversation. It's not necessarily about the bird. This is about your story. This is about like how this made you feel and how it makes us feel every day in Britain. And I can promise you, if we're having a bad day, that's probably the only bird that's going to cheer you up in your garden is a little red robin. Because even if you don't have a story with it yet, I think anybody that comes across one will eventually have a story with that bird somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. But that's absolutely right. And I think that's one of the things I realized is that people, when they saw him, because I was usually experimenting people seeing him for the first time and feeling what I felt. I was seeing that. And usually when I was seeing this, people were instantly after telling me a story about it. Oh, my friend is sick and reminds me of her. Everybody had like a story attached to him of that feeling of that moment. It was amazing. We all had like the same emotions. The picture you saw, it was really cute because in the moment, what the picture doesn't show is that when the robin was there, it was completely we could hear a fly. Okay, it was completely silent. A squirrel, I don't know if I say it right, okay, don't judge, came by and it was close, and now people were like, oh no, he's gonna disturb him, so and so the squirrel disturb him, and you just heard silent, oh, the 150 person, you heard it was like just so fascinating that so much people in the same time were living the same emotion about that bird. It was crazy. It was really amazing.
No, I think you've summed it up.
Stephen, so for you, in terms of summing up this bird being in Canada, your relationship with robins and stuff like that, how big is that for a story? Do you think that's a story that should be shared like on the scale is the same as Canada? Like it's massive for them over there. Whereas over here we're a bit like, oh, okay, it's a robin story. But I feel like it should be more than that. I feel like this should be just as big as it is for Canada over here.
Yeah, because it's our bird. We think of it as our bird. We feel very possessive to our garden birds, particularly people say my robin, my robin. Oh, what's my robin doing over there? As I say, it might be a Norwegian robin. Who knows? But yeah, I think you're right. It sums up the relationship, the complex relationship that humans have with birds that can be both positive and negative, but if done in the right way, it's a very positive human story. But we mustn't forget that the bird is still there somewhere. That bird is independent. It intersected with our lives or your lives for a little while, and then it goes off and lives its own life. And I think for me, that is the most fascinating thing about birds. It's what I write about effectively. It's the intersection between humans and the natural world that is both mysterious and can be very comforting. I think that's really the word I'd look for. This story, it's very uplifting, and it's something that your nan knew and knows, that robins have that special effect on people, and it's so lovely seeing it in a completely different context.
I agree.
And I think I can add that people a lot asked me when he left if I was sad. And I was like, no, I am not. I am so happy he can be great alone. He can feed himself. He adapted well. He's gonna live a life. I was so scared for him this winter, so I was just so happy that
Yeah,
he can be free and he can go do it, and he's capable of doing it now. So yeah, I was really I was proud.
that's lovely.
That is really cool. Stephen, you've mentioned a couple of times about bird food. Now, this wasn't a subject I was going to bring up to you today in podcast, but you've mentioned it, so I'm going to ask now. The bird feeding situation to our back gardens. I'm not sure if the same in Canada, but over here at the moment, we've got a charity called the RSPB. For you, the Sabrina doesn't know, that's one of our biggest bird charities, and they're advising us not to put flat feeders out as much throughout the winter, throughout the summer months. What are your thoughts on this, Stephen? Because I've heard you kind of make a comment towards it a couple of times. It'd be nice to hear what you think of it.
I'm going to be blunt. I don't think they're wrong. I think they're overreacting. I think that bird feeders do allow sometimes disease to spread, particularly flat feeders like bird tables. The seeds can go a bit moldy and the birds can eat them and they can get diseases. Now, put this in context. Almost, I mean, sounds very harsh. Almost every small bird visiting your garden in spring, that was coming up now in the UK, it is not going to survive for very long anyway. Very few of them will actually die from these diseases. It affects some species more than others. It's noticeable when it happens. And if you have birds in your garden that look sick or look ill, or you find dead birds near your feeder, of course you must stop bird feeding. Clean the feeders. Don't put them out again for probably another 2 or 3 weeks. Clean them really thoroughly, put fresh food in, and then it'll almost certainly be okay after that. So of course we need to be careful. But birds really need food in spring, because when I was growing up, you only fed birds in winter because it was cold. And then when they looked into it, scientists realized that a blue tit, for example, is bringing male and female blue tit, 1,000 caterpillars a day to their young. So what are they going to eat? If you can provide extra food for them, quick, high energy food, that's good. Now, the RSPB are also saying, no, carry on feeding, but only use things like mealworms. Well, I think people will be confused by that. I think a lot of people will stop feeding birds, then they'll forget to feed them in the winter when it comes. And I just think, they need to put this in perspective, and actually sensible hygiene rules mean that the vast majority of bird feeders are safe. And I just think that they've overreacted.
So would you say more like the gravity feeders and stuff like that? Because obviously it's gravity falling.
Yeah, they're better, but they can also get, bird food can get stuck in there and get moldy. So, cleaning them and hygiene is very important. And not that difficult to do. You can wash them in a very mild detergent, washing up liquid, and then make sure you've rinsed them properly, and it just makes sense, to do that and throw away any moldy food. But in my garden, the birds come so quickly, there's never a chance for moldy food. I just think that they've, and when you think of all the other things, the RSPB is very quiet about cats. Kill literally millions of birds every year because a lot of their members have cats. I'm a member of the RSPB. I've been a member since 1968. So, as a child, I joined. So I'm a great supporter of them. I think they're a fantastic charity. Absolutely. They do great work. I disagree with them on this, but I'm sure people will now respond to me and say, we'll see. But anyway, but common sense should prevail here. And the other thing about feeding garden birds, just to finish, is feeding garden birds is important for the birds, but it's also incredibly important for us. People who are confined to home, people who are elderly and unable to go out birding now. Perhaps they used to go out birding, they can't anymore. People who have disabilities, children, all those people love watching birds come to their feeders. And particularly for children and for adults sometimes, it sparks a lifelong passion for birds that without the bird feeders, perhaps they would never have got.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the other argument about feeding garden birds, that, and this sounds very anthropocentric. It sounds like we're saying that we're more important than the birds. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that, if people become passionate about birds, like some of Sabrina's neighbours will have become passionate about birds and perhaps will become birders and then conservationists, and then they'll support conservation because of that, Robin. So, these things link.
I was going to add, Stephen, that even the feeders, my neighbors are all more, hey, you had that bird, what is this bird, or, oh, can I give this to the bird? I'm like, no, that's not good, you should give this. So people are more like alert from their surroundings, from the nature, and some people that didn't even check birds before are super interesting now about birds because of my feeders at my house. So it's kind of interesting too to be to alert people that birds are important. Why do I feed them? What to feed them, and etc. So, and I didn't notice something in Canada about that subject. I didn't see it pass, but I'm with Steven like this, like that, in that, because I think sometimes we're too extreme. Like, stop it or feed them all the time. Can we just
Yes.
find like a middle here, Can we find something just in the middle that is good for everybody? And I can be certain that the robin wouldn't have found insects. So without a feeder, it wouldn't be important, I
I
think.
put mealworms out, so I have 4 different foods out because I do a lot of photography from my front room window. I use my bird feeders a lot to get a lot of my garden bird photos. And when I put the mealworms out, they are gone like that. They're so quick, like
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah. They love
jackdaws and the
mealworms.
blackbirds, they will just come and annihilate it. And it's gone within an hour. There's, like you said, Stephen, there is no time for that food to get moldy out there. And then obviously you got the robins, like the pigeons. I've noticed my pigeons that I have in my garden. I only get 2, but they feed from the bottom. They don't feed from the feeders because they can't get onto my feeders. And obviously, they said that is where one of the main diseases come from, was like doves, possibly pigeons, wasn't they?
Yeah, greenfinches
Greenfinches,
get
sorry,
it a
yes.
lot. They seem particularly vulnerable. Yeah, it's very sad when this happens. So I'm not negating that it happens, but in the context of things, it doesn't happen very often. And I think we should just be a bit, as Sabrina said, I think we just need to be more moderate about things.
Yeah.
And if you send a message saying don't feed birds in summer, oh no, feed them mealworms, but don't feed them this, people are just going to stop. And people don't read. They don't necessarily see the full message. They hear, oh, it's dangerous to feed birds.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so let's head back to obviously the robin. We know now it left you on April the date. Did it leave you again, Sabrina?
Third.
The 3rd of April, and
April
he's not
3rd.
been back yet. If he does come back, please let us know, because I think that would
Of
be
course.
even more amazing if he returned to you
Well,
at some point.
actually, for sure, I'm staying alert because in the beginning, I could see him everywhere on my street. So it's a possibility he's still there, but I didn't see him at the feeder anymore. So he's not easy to find, and he's not singing, so not easy to find. And secondly, I'm gonna be alert next winter because I'm not sure he's gonna come back for somewhere he knows he has food, or he's gonna find somewhere hotter, so he's gonna stay. So I don't know, but I'm gonna be alert for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Stephen, for you, have you got any more books coming out anytime soon? Have you got anything that you want anybody to know that's coming forward?
Yeah,
from
no,
you
I've got
yourself?
the latest bird biography that come out in October is the puffin, and everyone I've said this to goes, "Oh my god, puffins! I love puffins."
Love puffins.
And it includes the tufted and horned puffins from the Pacific Ocean, which are found in Canada and the USA. But it's mainly the Atlantic puffin, what we call our puffin, which is very much a bird of northern and northwestern Europe, Iceland, Norway, UK, Ireland. And yeah, it's been fascinating writing that. I've really enjoyed it. And my book, 10 Birds That Changed the World, which has really sort of summarizes this whole theory I have about birds and humans, is doing very well in North America. It's out, Basic Books publish it there. So that's any American viewers, please get that. And it's also in the UK. So yeah, no, it's so I'm still writing. I'm semi-retired, but I still write because writing's fun.
Well, I didn't know about your books, but I will for sure start with the Robin one.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
£14 something on Amazon.
I will for sure.
There is a lot of books. When I decided that I was going to get some more of Stephen's books, now I've read the Robin one because it's a very, very special book, and I think we will truly appreciate actually the words that Stephen used in the book. Like, I'm not a massive book reader. You won't catch me reading books. I think, Stephen, you're actually the 3rd book that I've ever read in my life.
Well, that's lovely.
I just don't have the attention span to do it.
I
But
love it.
I think what you're going to read in there is going to be very close to home for you. I think you're going to resemble with a lot of it because I certainly did. But there's a lot of
Can't
books
wait.
of Stephen's to read. I think my next one is The Planet Earth. I'm really looking forward to reading that. The one you've done with David Attenborough.
Yeah, David Attenborough series.
So-
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
I bet that was fun. I bet that's very
Nice.
fun.
it's also got great photographs which I didn't take.
Is there anything that you guys want to add on today's show?
Covered everything. No, it's great. Really, really nice, and
Yeah, it's
really
really
great to
great.
meet you both. And
Yeah,
It was
thank
really
you so
great.
much for coming on. Honestly, it's been absolutely
It was
fantastic.
really fun. Thank you very much. I'm
Thank
really
you.
glad I met you both, so it's really nice.
Yeah, well,
excellent.
we'll all stay in touch. Sabrina, Stephen, I will pass, if okay with you, Sabrina, on your email one to Stephen, so you guys can stay in contact.
Perfect.
Going forward.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Stephen,
I'll see you all at the Global Bird Fair.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
we will definitely
I
be
wrote
there.
it down. I wrote it down. I'm gonna check into that.
Yes, we will definitely come there. Maybe when you're back in this, maybe when you're back in the UK, Stephen, and we've got the official studio coming up. Maybe we could have you back on as just a for you podcast and get to know you,
Yeah,
have
it's
your
delighted.
life
Yeah.
career or something like that. Because what I have seen of you in your podcasts, you're always coming on as the expert, which is fantastic. But I think there's a Stephen Moss story to be told, and I'd be
is.
very interested to hear that. I
Thank
think
you.
that I would like to hear that if you'd be willing to do that in the near future.
I'd be delighted.
I will
That'd be
listen.
amazing. Yeah, or we get you in as a special guest backstage.
Yeah, and I'm now
Yeah.
going to go off and have an early breakfast in Adelaide.
Yes, you do that,
That's it.
Stephen. We will let you get off and have your breakfast. But yeah, I think we can end the podcast there. They're in every garden, every park, and every hedgerow on this island. We walk past them every single day, but most of us barely even notice them anymore, even though they're in plain sight. But in Montreal in January, in the freezing cold, hundreds of people stood in silence on a residential street to spend 10 minutes with one bird, weighing between 14 and 21 grams, singing a song with no audience in the city that it had never seen before. Nature doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't wait for us to be ready. It just happens. It's the gaps between the ordinary things we do every single day. Sabrina Jacob was paying attention that day, and that's why we're all here telling this story today. That's Nature's Raw Pursuit podcast. Links to everything referenced today, the eBird records, the scientific papers, the British Birds Journal pieces, all in the description. Go read the real science behind this story. If this episode meant something to you, subscribe to us, share it with a friend, or even share it with somebody who still goes out and watches birds every single day, because this story might just mean something to them. New episodes are coming very, very soon. I'll see you all in the wild.